So here's the thing. I do not know if Marsha watches these or not, but I'm going to record the practices in full, whether she watches them or not. So yesterday I asked you to write some things on the second page of your list, and are you telling me that you've done all of those things?
Not yet.
What do you still have to do?
I still have to find all of my pieces and exercises on Spotify or YouTube, and I have my Google Doc there. I've done that, and I have practiced some orchestra music, which I'm still doing.
Okay, so what I want to make clear is that there are some parts of practice that don't happen during practice. Okay, so looking for YouTube videos is a really good example. Making a list is a really good example. I also want to point something out to you, which is you have a very, very advanced practice coach. She's not even a practice coach. She's a bona fide, fantastic violin teacher. So if I were wanting lots of free time and I was wanting to cut back on my practice somehow and make things more efficient, I think I would avail myself of Marsha. And what I mean by that is I would start composing emails to her. Things like, I was practicing the Bach and I'm wondering if you think there's anything on page 2 that needs extra work or that you think I could leave alone. Okay? Because when I'm saying that you should make a list of measures 1 through 3, measures this, I don't know anything about that music. And frankly, if you're just going to listen to me, it sounds like you don't either. So a more advanced practice strategy would be to look at the piece and say, okay, this part is the beginning. I know it really well. I'm going to spend 5 whole minutes on this middle, really bare of a measure. And I think that every once in a while you should talk to Marsha. You should ask her, this page is a lot of work. What would you focus on? Every yawn that you swallow is going to cost you a nickel.
I don't have any money.
Oh, right. Okay. So that's what I want to say is that, sometimes a more advanced person can give you some practice tips on how to make things better. Oh, it was the scale. Wasn't there something about the scale that I asked you to talk to Marsha about?
You mean the flesh?
Mm-hmm. I guess you didn't write it down. So I would write down, ask Marsha about the scale. Not on that page, on the next page.
That should live.
Okay, so what I mean is, because we were talking about this yesterday when she called and you just moved into the orchestra music. We were talking about this concept of practice makes permanent. Right?
Right.
And you're practicing the scale with a lot of pauses and not smooth. And then when you get to your lesson, you try to play it smooth, right? You ready?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good strategy. I think that you should practice exactly the way that you want to play it for Eugene. So if you think Eugene wants to hear it smoothly, then you need to practice to make it smooth and practice it smoothly.
Can I write that down?
You can. But what I was hoping you would ask Marsha is, what are some ways you can make it smoother? Well, and I also think you should think about that. I mean, it seems to me that's good enough for now, Ella. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about how you can make that smoother and how you can practice that. And I'm not sure that you can make it much better at an 11-year-old level. And if Marcia tells you, you know what, Ella, this is as best as you can do it right now and just keep playing it this way, then that's your answer. And then you don't have to listen to mommy anymore. Because I don't want to be the authority. I want to be the suggester and the, person who helps you keep on track. I don't want to be the person who teaches you violin. That's not my job. Okay? So I would also assume that you did not get through everything yesterday, right?
Right, and I did that today.
Okay. So when, you know what? I don't want you to add on little details like that. I was in the middle of a sentence. I really don't care what you did this morning. I don't care. Okay? That's your job. What I'm saying is that you didn't get through everything yesterday. And what that means is that when you make your list, you should keep in mind that you might not get through everything. And you might want to make it 2-page, and some of these things you don't do every day. You need to adjust your list and put that in your pocket and say, oh, I don't have time to do all these things. So when I make this list next week, I'm going to put this one every other day. Because you don't want to spend a half an hour of your practice on something you already know. So you have to start getting wiser about your list. And you will get better at list making as you work at it. Nobody is perfect at list making in the beginning anyway. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. I expect you to, I do expect you to, I don't need to know what you did on the list, but I do think there must be some way you can tell Marcia. So why don't you write that down on this page, that's something you can do outside of your practice time, is send a short email to Marcia letting her know what you didn't get to. So you can discuss with her how important it is or not important, okay? And I will give you some time later to work at your computer in here, okay?
Do the second list. What? It's not very clear to me. Like outside of practice time,
There's a lot of things that you can do outside of practice time that's not playing the violin. And one of them is in the evening, maybe you can text Marcia or email her what you really didn't get to on your list. Since she probably isn't going to watch 2 hours a day of practice videos. Because it's important for her to know what you didn't get to, right? And also it's important for you to know what you didn't get to. Sometimes people don't get to things because they don't like practicing it. And they always save it for last. And if you see yourself doing that, then you say to yourself, Ella, I need to practice this first, right? But those are the places that you get to be in charge. There are some things that you will not be in charge of. You're not in charge of Marcia, and you're not in charge of me. But you are in charge of almost everything on these papers. Okay? So, you have about 45 minutes that you can work if you are ready to go. And then you can quickly do a few other things, and then we'll go horseback riding. And I think Riley said she's going to bring her horse. So that should be really fun. So do a nice job so I don't have to horseback ride with her. And you're in here practicing, okay?
So
you're going to look at your list and you're going to practice what you think you need to practice and you're going to check off.
Is it okay if I do some of the orchestra stuff?
I think you can set a timer for 5 minutes on the orchestra. You gave orchestra a lot of time yesterday. I would give it 5 minutes today. It's a good thing to warm up on though, I think. And you can start and stop the movie so she can get through, have just your music on this one, okay? Please.
I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying
I'm saying stop the movie and start it again, another one, and upload both so that she can watch one that's smaller. So she doesn't, one is music and one is talking. Okay? Otherwise it's like a 2-hour deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause this. 11 minutes if you're watching. Yeah.